Hello amazing book lovers, my name is Ash and welcome back to my channel. Hello, how are you? Hope you're doing well. It is going to be February. Now it is February by the time I post this video, and let's hope this month, even though it's short, will go by slowly. As you know probably by now, I'm going to be taking part in my TBR board game. I'm going to go around this board, so I'm going to be making 5 rolls and then I'm going to be having a few more books on the side. This is going to be a pretty lengthy TBR, so I'm going to do 5 rolls and then I have 5 books to add on to it. So there's going to be at least 10 books on this TBR, which is a fun time. So let's get into the first roll of my TBR board game and see what I end up getting. All right, I'm going to be using a 1d10 this time around. Hopefully the rolls are a little bit higher, but not too high. I don't want a 10 every single time. All right, let's get to our first roll. A 10. Well, maybe I jinxed myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, either romance or 7, 8, 9, 10. A book over 400 pages. You know what? These are both pretty easy. I'm actually going to go with a book over 400 pages because I read a lot of books that are big, so I think this will be safe for me. Okay, so the first roll, of course, was a 10 because I had to jinx myself and say something about it, but it's fine. 10 isn't a bad number. I'm actually pretty happy with the one I got because most of the time I read books over 400 pages, so this is so easy. It's almost harder for me to find books under 400 pages than it is to be above it, so this one is pretty simple to do. With this one, I'm finally going to be continuing the Expanse series with the 5th installment, and that is The Nemesis Games by James S.A. Corey. Like I said, this is the 5th book in the Expanse series. If I complete this one, I will be officially over halfway finished the main series. There are 9 total, and they are all huge books. I believe all of them are 500 pages or more, usually more than that. This one is 536 pages, so it definitely goes above 400, and I've been loving and adoring this epic space opera sci-fi series. It's such a good time. Not gonna talk too much about it because I've mentioned it countless times in the past few videos, so I'm gonna be pretty quick with this one and just say that I am very much anticipating this one. I'm really hoping I will enjoy it. I've been liking pretty much every single book, or even loving every single book I've read from this series so far. I'm not loving every single aspect of all these books, but I am loving them enough to just continue them. And I'm just excited to finally do that because I have been putting this series off for a few months now, and it's finally time I get back to it. Okay, so let's move on now to my second roll. Okay, time for the second roll. Okay, a 3, more reasonable. 1, 2, 3. Romance. That worked out very well. Okay, so despite the fact that I had to decide between the two of them, I don't have to worry about deciding anymore because I got romance, which is great for February. So I'm going to be reading a romance book for this one, and that is very easy for me as well because I love romance. That's why this is twice on the board rather than just once. But for romance, I'm going to actually be doing something that's like a buddy read on Fable. This is going to be the book for February, and this is for the smutty I'm just going to put it on the screen because I don't want to say the words because YouTube might not like it, but it's pretty much just dark romance, usually smutty books. Because I've heard good things about this book and I know that the audiobook from what I've heard is good, and I only have the audiobook version of this, so I'm really hoping I like it because I'm not usually an audiobook fan. For this, I'm going to be reading Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. As mentioned, this will be in a buddy read on Fable, so I'm going to be taking part. I haven't actually done a buddy read on Fable. I've been wanting to for a long time now, and so I'm finally going to be getting to it for this book. Lights Out was actually pretty popular, I think, on TikTok, and that's not why I'm really reading it. It's just because it sounds like a fun time, an interesting time, but a fun one nonetheless, I hope. Me and dark romance don't have a great track record, but this one I have a little bit of hope for. The only way I can read this is through audiobook because I do not have the physical copy. The ebook is on too many holds. There's way too many holds on the ebook, and so my Hoopla app had this available on audiobook, and I heard really good things with the audiobook. I heard it's really funny and the male voice actor is really good at, you know, doing his part with the character. So I'm a little bit hopeful of this one. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I am. This is following the female lead who is interested in, I'm just gonna say it in the way that I think the author intended, okay? Essentially, the character loves thirst traps on TikTok and she watches ghost ones from Call of Duty. That's pretty much what this is saying. It doesn't say it exclusively, but it's pretty much, it's accurate. Regardless, she likes people in masks and she wants to have the fantasy of being like chased and found and all that fun stuff, and she texts someone by accident drunkenly and I guess her wish comes true. You know, masked men, I get it. I don't really like Ghost as much. I kind of like Koenig more, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I don't usually watch thirst traps. If it's fictional men though, I will do it. I'm hoping I will like this one. I oddly enough have 2 audiobooks on this list, which is very unlike me, so this is going to be one of them. I hope I like this one. It is dark romance and it is on audiobook, so I'm a little trepidatious, but maybe I will like it. Maybe I'll be surprised and actually enjoy this. We can only hope. Okay, so let's move on to my third roll for my TBR board game. Okay, I spun the board around. Let's get to our third roll out of 5. Another 3. 1, 2, 3. BIPOC author. For this one, I got BIPOC author, which is great for Black History Month, which is happening in North America in February. So I'm happy to be getting this as a prompt, although I should be reading them in general. I'm glad I at least have a prompt for it because that gives me a lot of options, which is nice. For this one, I actually put a poll up on my Discord for my Libraries of Dragons Readathon Discord. So I put up 3 different options and it was a tie for almost the entire way until one person saved me. Thank you so much for that, by the way. I do plan on reading the 2 that I didn't choose, so I will eventually get to those, but the one that actually ended up winning was Look Both Ways by Jason Reynolds. I love Jason Reynolds. He's one of my favorite authors of all time, probably in my top 5, so I am very happy to be getting to him again because I haven't really read from him for a while, and I love his work so much. I want to get to at least like the majority of his work, if not all of them, so I'm really happy to get Jason Reynolds as a book for February. Look Both Ways is a middle grade children's kind of book featuring 10 different stories following 10 blocks. So we're following 10 people that are walking along different blocks after school. Knowing Jason Reynolds, there's probably going to be a few tougher subjects. Unfortunately, I forgot to put this on hold before my video, so I will be getting this late for my library, but for my wrap up, I should be able to show them to you if I still have it by then. So moving on now to my 4th roll. Down to our final 2 rolls. Roll number 4. Another 10. Okay. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can't see that. That is TBR jar. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Your recommendations. Oh, this is really difficult. I think I know who would appreciate me taking a rec, so I'm gonna go with one of your recs. Okay, so for my 4th roll, I got your recommendations. Again, I had a little bit of a tough time deciding between, you know, 2 options, but I chose to do one of your recommendations because I have a few, to say the least, that I have to get to eventually. For this one, I kind of cheated. I didn't randomize it. I actually decided to go with someone that has been on my channel for a while and been watching me and has been a good friend to me. You know who you are. You probably see her in my live streams and in my comment section. I got those recommendations from Lorelei, and I'm hoping I enjoy it just as much as she did, because if I don't enjoy it, I feel a little bit bad about it. But at the same time, I will be honest. Not brutally honest, but I will be honest if I like it or not. Especially in my wrap up, I'll talk about it, but I'm hoping I will enjoy this book. And that is Themes Gambit by Kavion Lewis. This is going to be a book that I think is not usually my type of book. Not only is it a YA, I think, but it also involves heists and thievery and competitions. So I'm not usually in this genre, but at the same time, it sounds really good and really cool. I really like the concept of this. This book follows Rosalind. Her mother was kidnapped, and so she wants to save her. In order to do that, she has to compete in this competition of thievery and heists and high stakes, and there's going to be her nemesis that she's going to be competing against, as well as a handsome contestant. That's like the brief synopsis. I don't like going into my books very aware of what's going to be in it, so I like that concept of it, just having these heists and thievery and competition. I love competition, so I have some hope. I have a lot of bigger books on this list and a lot of adult heavier books, so this one I think is gonna be perfect for me to just kind of like absorb really quickly and get through in the month of February. I still have a bunch of books after this roll, but we are on to our 5th and final roll, so let's get into that one and see what I end up getting. All right, time for the 5th and final roll. Another 3. 3s and 10s today. 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh. I guess it all just comes full circle. I got TBR jar anyway. Great. I already filmed me taking it out of the jar because I wanted to make sure I had it on hold, my library, if I needed to, and all that fun stuff. So let's go clip to that, and then we will return back to present tense me. So let's go and see what I ended up getting. I just got out of the shower. My hair is wet, but I want to do my TBR jar because I'm curious. I also have my glasses on so I can read what's on the paper. This is my TBR jar. It has over 240 books in it, so there's a lot of them in here, as you can see. And there are different types of colors in the back with different genres. The only one I don't really think I want is an adult fantasy, which is purple. I'm probably gonna get a purple now. I'm allowed to put one back if I don't want it, so I'm allowed to put one back before I look at what the book is. I can look at the genre and say I don't want that genre only one time, but I can't look at the book. So I have one drawback as long as I don't like the genre. So anyway, let's go and see what I get. Okay, we got one. So the genre is purple, which is adult fantasy, and it's a more recent one. I'm putting this back. I just said I didn't want one. I jinxed myself, and I only have one more chance left. I'm picking another one. Let's see what that one is. And here it is. So let's see what this one is. Okay, this is a YA. It's blue. So it's a light blue, which is YA, I think. Yes, blue is YA. So this is number 41, and I own this on Kindle. So let's see what this is going to be. I will try showing you first as always, and yeah. The Harbinger series, Storm and Fury. I think I know what this book is. I think it's a YA romance or something. I have no idea. I will talk to you in a second about what this is about. As you saw, I got the, is it Harbinger series? But the first book is Storm and Fury. Now, this is funny because I didn't know who the author was, because at the time I wrote that one, I didn't put authors' names down. I did end up putting the authors' names down later on in my TBR jar, but in the beginning I didn't put authors' names down, and so I didn't know who wrote this book. And I just find it funnily ironic now that I know who the author is, because I just read a book from her in January. I just started a series from her in January, and I'm going to be reading another series from her in February, and I just don't know how I feel about it. Let's talk about that. And that is Storm and Fury, as you saw, from Jennifer L. Armentrout. I didn't know this was from Jennifer L. Armentrout. I had no clue. And as you saw, probably if you watched my Unwrap or Haul video, I unwrapped For Blood and Ash. As you might know, that's from the same author. So I now have potentially 2 series by the same author, and I don't know how I feel about it. So Storm and Fury is actually released in 2019. From Blood and Ash was released in 2020. We've only released a year apart, but I haven't heard anything about Storm and Fury. I think I might have possibly seen it once or twice ever in BookTube, but I've never really heard anyone talk about it. Rather than From Blood and Ash, which is an adult, you know, smutty time, Storm and Fury is more of a YA book. I'm actually a few pages already into Storm and Fury because I wanted a little bit of a head start. February is going to be a very big page number for me, so I decided to be kind to myself and start Storm and Fury a little bit ahead of time. And it is definitely YA. It feels very YA. The main character is saying all these like things that an adult woman thinks that teenagers say. No hate to the author, but it's just kind of funny when authors try writing teenagers. Zodiac Academy does this, the Crave series does this. It's like this writing style that they try to make hip, but it's not. Regardless, what this story is about is actually still kind of unknown to me. It's a bit interesting. We're following the main character. Her name is Trinity, I believe. She is secluded from the rest of the world because she is a very powerful being. I don't really know what she is. Supposedly she's like half human, so everyone thinks that she's human, but she's definitely not. There are demons in the story that would probably not want her to be alive because they would want to absorb her powers, and so they are keeping her safe. People are keeping her safe are the guards. They are called wardens. I'm not sure if all of them are gargoyles, but some of them are at least, which is interesting, I guess. And Trinity is a very much a wild child. She doesn't want to be secluded and cooped up, and so she kind of just wants to leave and see the outside world, and it's very urban fantasy. I mean, there's iPads mentioned, there's things that you pretty much see all the time, texting, FaceTiming. It's pretty urban fantasy, very heavily based on urban fantasy, like modern day. I'm not usually an urban fantasy fan, but I will give it a shot. It's a paranormal urban fantasy, so maybe I will enjoy it. Obviously, it's gonna be romance sprinkled in. Trinity has a close friend from her childhood named Misha, and he is her personal guard. It's giving a little bit from Blood and Ash, but the love interest will not be him. He is very protective of her, and I'm not sure if he has feelings for her. Supposedly they tried but never worked out, and they're not really supposed to be together because he's her personal guard, and so I don't think that's going to be ending up in a relationship. It might be a love triangle where he obviously won't be chosen, but I like Misha, but he's a little bit over the top in my opinion. And then we have Zane, who is a warden that comes over to their lands, and she sees him, and then they have this connection, and it's an interesting time. I am listening to the dramatized version because I do not have the physical version. I thought this was an ebook copy that I owned. I do not own it. I don't know where it went. I swear I did own it at one point. No idea where it is at this point, but my Hoopla app does have the dramatized version. So last night I listened to it for like 2 hours, the dramatized version. It was actually really fun and interesting. And Zane's voice is really good, but Zane is my opposite in regards to attraction. I don't really like men with really long hair, and I don't like blondes, so he has long blonde hair, so it's a little bit tricky. In my head, I'm just picturing him with short blonde hair. That is what I can handle, okay? I don't have a good track record with long-haired blonde men. So, yeah, in my brain, I just kind of changed his appearance just a smidge. I just cut his hair a bit. I'm very curious how I feel about this trilogy. My Hoopla has all of them on the dramatized version, so hey, if I like it, I'll just continue listening to it. It's not that difficult to do when I do cross-stitching or anything else. So yeah, we'll see how I feel about it as I continue it. Okay, so that is the 5th and final roll for my TBR board game, but I still have 5 books on this list, so let's get through them quickly, shall we? The first one is nothing I really need to introduce because I did read some of it in January and I am continuing it in February, and that is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I'm not going to talk much about this again because you already know I'm reading this book. I talked about it last month and I've been doing reading sprints on this, so you know I've been reading this, right? I'm over 20% through. I think I'm actually almost a third of the way through now, so I should be getting to this, and if not finishing in February, almost finishing in February. I should be at least finishing it in March, but I'm hoping I will finish it in February because it seems very plausible as long as I actually prioritize it. I took a break from it because I was doing other things and reading other books, but I'm finally going to be reading this and continuing it, and I'm really excited about it. It's having a great time so far. It's so good. Even like the slog to me is amazing. I just love Brandon Sanderson's writing, so I've been eating this up, loving every single second of it. I've been adoring it so much, and Kaladin has my whole heart. I love him so much. I'll be continuing this and enjoying my time reading it because I definitely have so far. The 7th book on my list is one I want to get to again. I've read this a few times already, so this is a reread. I used to read this every year, but I kind of had put a hold on it for a while because I just had all these other books I wanted to prioritize. But I think it's finally about time I actually get to this one again. And that is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, another book by Jason Reynolds on my list. I think I've already read this 3 times now, and I have the graphic novel of this, but I love this book so much, and it's just so dear to my heart. The main character in the story is Will. He is a young black boy and his brother is shot and killed, and so he believes he knows who the person is that did this, so he goes into an elevator and goes down or up, ascends or descends to different floors to get to this boy's floor that he thinks did it. And every single floor he goes to is going to be a spirit or a ghost of a family member of his or someone that he was close to that has passed away. And I just love this book so much. It heavily talks about gang violence and how harmful it is to black youth, and it is just so good in my opinion. I love it so much. I think it might be something that's more personal to me. I already mentioned this in the past, but I did grow up in an area with gang violence, and it was so upsetting to be around that. There's no reason for it, and it's just so sad to know what the realities are for some people out there. And so I'm going to be getting to this again. I adore this book so much, so I'm happy to be reading this again because I just adore it. Like I said like 5 times now, sorry. There are only 3 books left. We're going to be on to my 8th book of February. A lot of books this month. I'm gonna regret this, but I want to continue the books from this author because I just finished 2 series from her. And this world is extremely expansive and has so many books in it and so many characters, so I'm just going to continue it because if I don't, I'm going to forget a lot of what I read. So let's just continue them, shall we? So I'm going to continue the rest of the books written by Cassandra Clare, and I read The Immortal Instruments, I've read The Infernal Devices, so following that I'm going to be reading The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare. This also is written by Sarah Reese Brennan and Maureen Johnson. Bane Chronicles follows Magnus Bane and a bunch of different stories that he's experienced in his life. So past experiences, I'm assuming some things that are kind of touching upon Infernal Devices and Immortal Instruments, probably him and his partner from the first series. So I am looking forward to it. I mean, it's nothing that I'm going to be head over heels about because it's just gonna be like little tiny short stories. I do like Magnus Bane. I do find his relationship to be a bit strange considering the age and everything, but regardless, I like him. He's sweet, he's a nice guy, and I find his character to be very interesting. And I am hoping I will enjoy this one. I've heard things about it. I don't know good things about it, but it's just a side book. It's a side book, so I don't really have that many expectations for it. I'm finally going to be reading the rest of the Cassandra Clare books. It's been so long. I don't know if I want to be reading another series, but it's going to happen soon. Once I get to the side books, I'm going to be reading the next, whatever they're called. Queen of Darkness, Heir in Darkness, all those books. Oh boy. Let's not worry about it until I have to worry about it. The 9th book is actually going to be based off of the Aurelium Readathon. G every year does the annual readathon, which is, I believe it's called Avengers in Aldea. I might be wrong, but it's the Aurelium Readathon where it's like an annual thing. So every single month there is a prompt, and G did an incredible job. Oh my god, I will put it on the screen. It looks beautiful. This is what I want from a readathon. I don't have that much willpower in me and, you know, creativity to make something like this, but this is what I would love to do. This is so pretty. Now, my character Corvus is going to be heading down to Dark Meadow because that's where he's from. He's a beast master, so I imagine he went and got all this information about different animals and beasts and then wanted to return to Dark Meadow to the library to put this information down as like a scholar. So I'm going to have him do that. I didn't realize that I can take almost any direction other than the right, so I just went to my natural decision of going west, and so that's what I decided to do. I could have went almost any way, but my gut was to go west, and I'm gonna just stick with that. But I don't know how I feel about that now, considering what I have to read. Nothing bad, but I didn't have as many options as I would have liked. I would have been able to choose almost anything on my shelves if I just went any other direction. I decided to go west, which means I had to pick a book from a middle left of the shelves. I don't think you can see this one. You can't see over here, but the middle left of that shelf is just Eragon, and I have already read all the books. So that one didn't work unless I wanted to reread, and I do not want to reread. So the only other decision for me was the middle of my back shelf. Most of the middle shelves are books I've already read and enjoyed because I wanted to put them as like my central point in my videos, so that way you can see the books I usually enjoy or like my pretty editions. I have read every single book on this shelf except for the ones that are in part of a series, and I'm not going to be able to get to those books because the first books are wrapped, which leaves us to the left side of the middle shelf, which is all of Rick Riordan. This is my boyfriend's books, by the way. I have read all of his main series, but there is 2 books that I can get to, and I will be reading these, or one of these. I've already read all of Folk of the Air. I'm not opening up these. These are sealed. They're my boyfriend's editions, which leaves me with these 2 tall books. One is Greek Heroes and one is Greek Gods. I decided to go with the one that made a little bit more sense to read first, and that is Greek Gods. This is comically big. Oh my gosh. And this is going to be just Percy Jackson talking about the Greek gods. It's going to be talking about Greek mythology in the way of Percy Jackson. So it's not going to be the dark, you know, what we know of in Greek mythology, which is very dark, very messed up. But instead of having it be like that, it's going to be set in the voice of Percy. So it's going to be a little bit more like middle grade version of mythos. I do know a decent amount about Greek gods. I feel like it's the most common pantheon to hear about, or the most obvious mythology to hear about, and I've already read all of the books, so of course I know pretty good amounts of Greek mythology, but I still don't know that much. I don't do a great job retaining information, so reading this isn't going to be a bad thing. The reason why it's so big is because there's illustrations in this. It's actually hurting my hand holding this up right now. Oh my gosh. Look how beautiful just the end papers are. Wow. Or the, whatever they're called. They're not called end papers. Yeah, they are. Are they? These are the pages of writing. This should be pretty quick because the writing is so big. There are full art pictures. There's also some smaller photos. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. And then we have smaller illustrations alongside the text. We are following 15 different stories about different gods and goddesses in Greek mythology. I am curious. I like to learn about mythos and mythology and religion, so I am not mad about this one. It's just that I never expected to read it because it's just like, I didn't have this on my priorities. So interesting, but I'm not upset about it. And the 10th and final book is actually something I'm going to be doing hopefully every month if I can. This is going to be something I want to do because I really need to get my Kindle books down. So I take part in Stuff Your Kindle Day and Faro Feb, which are essentially ways that you can get free ebooks. Usually romance books. There are some that are not romance, but it's like 95% romance books, and you get them for free. Faro Feb does it every February, but also other months of the year. And then Stuff Your Kindle Day happens usually I think once a year. I feel like sometimes it happens more than that, but whatever. Point is, you get free ebooks and usually they're romance based. And so I have a lot. So within the span of last year and this year combined, I've downloaded a lot of ebooks. Now, I don't really care that much because they're free and I don't really have to download them. So to me, it's not that big of a deal if I have a lot of books. At the moment, I have like 158 ebooks I need to eventually get to. These were all free except for like one by accident. I accidentally bought one for like $2, but almost every single one of these were free, and so I want to get to them. Right now I have a whole thing of 150 of them, and I'm going to randomize which one I end up getting. I'm going to be doing this every single month because I really need to get to them. If I DNF, I will do this again on my own time and then talk about it in a wrap up. So I have DNF'd like 3 of the books I've already picked up. It's been a hard time. I was doing a video project on it, but I kept DNFing them and I felt really bad about it. So I decided to just do it like this instead and put in my TBR video. So I'm going to randomize what book I end up getting and hope I get something good because I really want to get something I actually enjoy. I'm going to randomize a vertical one and then a horizontal number, and then we will decide what I get from there. So let me get up a random number generator. We're going to go from 1 to 10 and generate, and I got a 6. So 6 from the left, and then let's do 1 from the top. And I got a 4. So let me see what this is. Okay, interesting. This is Lipsticks and Camera Clicks, written by DJ Murphy, which is great because this is written by a Black author and there's also going to be BIPOC characters. So I am even more looking forward to this because I really want to get to BIPOC authors and their books. Featuring a protagonist who goes into a reality TV show, and she's going to be one of the contestants against a bachelor. And so she wants to try to win his heart. The synopsis is pretty vague, so I don't know too much about it. When he's on camera, he has a pretty good charm. So I'm not sure if the bachelor is going to be one of the guys, but she also mentions that she has something toward her best friend. So that's interesting. She's sworn off dating and she wants to become a makeup artist, and so she goes onto the show to get some money to do that. Her best friend is the TV producer, so I think that he's like filming this happening. So I don't know. It sounds kind of fun. I am looking forward to this. This looks really good. I don't know if their ears are pointed because they're Fae or if it's just an artist choice, but I love this cover. It's so good. I'm looking forward to giving this a shot and hoping I will enjoy it. I've been having a hard time with my Kindle Unlimited free books. A lot of them are indie published or self-published, and so I know it's a lot harder because you don't have much editing. So I'm just gonna give this a fair shot and not give it too much of a critical look because obviously it's gonna be a smaller author. This has 1,600 ratings and 430 reviews, so it's pretty small, but I am looking forward to giving it a shot and seeing if I enjoy it. It looks really cute, it sounds really cute, so I am hopeful. So with that, that is going to be my February TBR. It's a pretty chunky one. There are 4 more books that I cannot include physically, so I will put up a picture of all the books I plan on getting to, all 10 of them. This is a little bit optimistic for me, but I don't have to finish Way of Kings in February, so I'm not forcing myself to do so. So this is pretty decent, I guess you can say. I'm also filming myself reading Way of Kings, so you'll have a spoiler-filled reading vlog of me talking about it and reacting and all that fun stuff. So I will be eventually putting up a video, probably in March. But until then, yeah, this is a pretty big TBR for one of the shortest months of the year. But why not be a little bit ambitious? Let me know if you have any books that you really want to get to in February. I know it's also Valentine's Day month, so people are reading a lot of romance. I don't usually tend to read according to holidays and seasons. I like to just read whatever I want, but I do have a few romances in this, I will say. I have at least 2, so that's not too bad. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all for being here. 900 subscribers is insane. I was planning on getting to 1,000 by the end of the year, and I'm already almost there with 990. So thank you so much for everything. I appreciate you all so much for getting me to this point. And also, I've been streaming, which is really difficult for me. I have really bad anxiety before I stream, but I've been enjoying it once I actually am there. It's just hard for me to get to that point because I'm so nervous and so anxious, but I've been really enjoying my time, spending time with you all and just being there, and I just thank you all so much for being an amazing community and making me feel just happy. If you got this far and have nothing to say, you can put any purple emoji that you would like. So anyone that's purple, whatever you like, prettiest one, you can do that one. So I'm gonna end the video off here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, great February, and I hope to see you all soon. Goodbye, everyone.